Hey everyone, Paul Gerber here for Enterprise DNA. Thank you for joining me today. Also, I want to thank Bronya Julius for the invite to discuss how Power BI can be used in various industries. And of course, my industry that I am in is in the oil and gas sector. So I will be showing you a report that I have done specifically for this summit to showcase how Power BI can be used in the oil and gas industry. Hopefully, what you will get out of this are some ideas, some insights, spark some thinking on your end that Power BI can be used in different fields of study, different areas besides just sales, finance, human resources, things that we typically see all the time. So, the oil and gas industry, when I talk about that, I am referring to only in this case the oil or gas well site. Kind of like in the picture here that you see pump jacks to bring the oil and gas out of the ground. So that would be the focus on this report is oil production or gas production. Oil and gas industry can cover refineries, compressor stations, pipelines, things like that. But that is not going to be the topic today. It will just be strictly over the oil well site. So I won't go in a lot of detail about the different aspects of the oil and gas industry, but I will explain briefly as I go through the report what exactly you're looking at, so no one gets lost. Feel free to post any questions during this session in the chat. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. So, uh, what you see here, like I said, is a report that I did specifically for this summit. We'll go over some things during this session. Again, how to use Power BI to bring in meaningful insights, in this case for oil and gas production data. I'll show you some combinations of DAX formulas to get insights from your data to improve the performance of the oil wells. Now, data from oil production sites, usually it just comes in spreadsheets. And we all know when you look at a spreadsheet, it's hard to determine value from just looking at a bunch of numbers and letters. So Power BI helps tremendously in that aspect to turn that data into something that they can analyze and get some answers from that. Uh, I'll also show you how to apply bookmarks and tooltips effectively, see how they are used, and the feature in Power BI for field parameters. It gives a flexibility for the end user to really select what he wants to look at in a bar chart or graph, and I will cover a little bit of that as well. So we will go on to the next slide. So again, just to recap, oil and gas industry, like I said, has huge amounts of data that is in real time on a daily basis. Oil production sites produce product, oil, gas, 24 hours a day. So data is constantly fed into a system, being a third party software, and extract that into Excel workbooks. KPIs for the oil and gas industry is the production of each well, BOE, which stands for barrels of oil equivalent, which that is just derived from a simple calculation that oil well sites produce both oil and gas and some water, but BOE is a calculation between your gross gas production divided by 6, and then you add your gross oil production and you get your BOE. And that's what they look at as far as value. They also look at production costs and downtime, um, what investments they're making on the well site, if they're spending too much money, if the well pad is producing enough oil compared to how much money they're spending, they want to make sure that is a good balance. So, in the oil and gas industry, especially with Power BI and Power BI service, it offers that flexibility for the end user to really pull up on their phones or devices and see the production and what the well site is doing. And so I'll walk through that process with you in this scenario, in this example. And these are, again, before we begin, these are just simple, you know, icon, and you just change, the text from the icon. We can go over that. I could go over that right now. I guess this is just a action, page navigation. It takes you to the next page. So oil production will be the next page. And then style, default, you go down, and I have the fast forward icon right there. You select the alignment, what size, and then if you go to on hover, I've got the font color. I want it as a text that says next page. Um, and then icon is blank. You don't want an icon showing up. You just want the text value. So just simple button to use. I just wanted to show you that before we moved on. So we'll move on to the oil production page. And as you can see in the top, we just have slicers, typical slicers, year, month, the pumper, which a pumper is just an individual that is responsible for the upkeep, performance of the oil or gas well. So you can select by person's name. I put in my son's names in here. They might enjoy that. Who knows? I thought it was kind of funny. But anyway, we can see what Noah has done his wells in 2022. And so this case, just by selecting this, the end user can look at, say, okay, Noah, you oversee 54 wells in the year 2022. Here's the monthly barrels of oil that was produced in each month. Here is a list of all his well sites and the simple tooltip popping up. So, like I said, with BOE, some well sites produce gas as well. So, on this particular lease name, this is showing the gas production for each month of that year. So, you can see both. So, this is just a chart where it shows gross oil production for each one of his wells, greatest to smallest, compared to oil production last year, rolling average, daily oil production, because they want to look at how much uh, each well site is producing on a day-to-day basis, and then your BOE value. This chart, of course, we've all seen, just a ranking top 5 lease names. Uh, Another tooltip that I added on that could be helpful for the pumper. Where is that site located? And that is just with GPS coordinates that you can get online. A lot of this is public data. You can do a search, and because online they will show you permits that are granted for oil production companies. So you can do a little bit of research and get this data online. So this shows daily oil production, gas, gross oil production, daily gas production, and your BOE. So like I said, it's just a ranking, and that is this measure here: top 5 lease names by gross oil production. You can see here I've got a measure lease name max. I want the max oil production. You keep the filters. You do a top in for 5. You could change this to 3. You could change it to 10. Whatever you want to do. So the lease name max, that is this measure right here. And all that is doing is just taking the max value, filtering it through each lease name, and then calculating the sum of the oil production, which is your gross oil production. And then, like I said before, that measure is brought back, that value is brought back into this, and you're slicing it through all leases in your data. So um, these are just icons. Of course, reset page where you click that and it clears what it did not clear. So don't have that active, but I know on the gas production page. Um, and it's always great to show something you've missed or a mistake. We're all human, so that one works. That was probably just a copy paste and just forgot to activate that. So you go back, go to oil production, go to gas production, go to map insights. And again, these are just icons, you know. So this one, it's an action, just like I showed you before in the beginning with the arrows. So that's what I've used here. Um, this is just a map of all the location of the lease names. Bubble size is ranked for BOE. And then you have uh, a graph over here. If I can click it, there we go. And that is just a sparkline by OKViz. And you just drag and drop all your values in here: rolling day average, cumulative gross production, oil production last year. These are just simple measures that is used, rolling 90-day rolling average. Um, and then the 3-month moving average offset. This one I like with the help of Brian. I think he has a great video about using date offsets. So that's where you use your month offset in your date table. And speaking of date tables, another Enterprise DNA expert, Melissa, she puts a great date table in the Enterprise DNA forum. Um, she just did a great job. I use that in every one of my reports. It's very detailed, very well laid out. So kudos to Melissa for providing that for everybody. So you go through and select um, And if these are blank, that just means that well site did not come online in that year, or they've might have, who knows, they've might have shut it in. So there's one, and it just pulls up a location. So you can select different lease names. Um, you can look at which ones. You can see it moving around and changing bubble size just faintly, and that's just based on its production. So you can go back to 2021. You can see that not so many, or different ones that were online. So that's the map page. Um, Let me go back to the oil production page here. So this graph I like, and I like it for the reason that you can show two different graphs at the same time without taking up a whole lot of space. And I got a little bit of help from Gustav. He and I also did a quick video tutorial on how to build this. Uh, but this is just I'll start off first. It's just a chiclet slicer. And you come down here. I've made a table called Measure Oil, table number 1. And if we look at that, the name, I just have an ID number 1, 1, 2, and 3, monthly cumulative, select both. And that's all that is. So that's what I added right here. Drag and drop in that chiclet slicer, adjusted, all the formatting. So we'll go to the graph here, and what we'll see here are the different measures. So to show you how this works, the end user can select monthly if he just wants to see monthly oil production for that year. I mean, we could do 2021, see how it varies. And then you can select cumulative, or the end user can have both, where it shows monthly production and then cumulative over time. So that graph brings in this measure where it just takes the ID number 1, which is the cumulative, monthly, or select both. So whatever value you select, then it brings in this measure selection, which is cumulative gross, and I've got that right here. So I've got, I guess I'll back up a little bit. So I group all my measures, time measures are last year, year over year, rolling averages, month over month, and then ranking measures. It's always good to organize all your measures, I feel. It just helps you find them real quick. I mean, you could do a search for them, but I always like grouping everything together. So I have my oil production measures, and then my gas production measures, and then my dynamic measures, and I'll go into that also. So cumulative oil production is just what it is. You're taking your gross, filtering it through all the dates, and then just finding um, the max. So back to this graph here. So that's the line, and then the columns, the same thing. Whatever your selected value is, it's going to take you gross oil production. Like Gustav did a great job and helped me out a lot. organizing that. And then you just drag and drop, your column measure into your column y-axis, and then your line measure into your line y-axis. So that is a really good feature. I like that. This up here is a dynamic measure that I just show, you know, arrow up, arrow down. It's unit characters based on oil production year over year, percentages, and then oil production where you change the colors. So let's see if we can get, so yeah. So NOAA, throughout the year of 2022, all his sites combined from last year dropped 38.4%, turned red. But you see, from 2021 compared to 2020, he had a good year in 2021. His production went up. And this could be any reasons. A lot of oil well production sites, after time, they drop off as far as production. They taper, they come on line strong, and then they just kind of wane, and oil production will drop. And that could be the case. I mean, you can see, it's up and down. It varies. They could shut it in, do maintenance, and maybe production stop at that point. But this is just click here. It's just a slicer. A card, and you just drop in your arrows up. You go in here, and I want it to green. So if you move this, and we'll see red appear, that disappears. And when you look at this, I want color red. I have this measure brought in for the down arrow, and then I've grouped them together, the arrow and my text. And then you can see that in conditional formatting, under the callout value for this number, I just have a format style selected to a field value, and then oil production change color. And that is this measure. That if your oil production from last year is less than your gross oil production of the current year, then it's red, else it's green. So pretty simple. And then I think I overlaid, yeah, that's back over here. So I'll fix that later. But yeah, you just kind of line that up. I get it lined up. So it's just over that. So it's just on top of each other, and then you bring it forward, so when it turns red, the green doesn't show up at the same time as the red arrow. I'll focus on this oil insights now. So these are just bookmarks. You got a scatter plot here. I really like the slider, which you go over here and you just turn on zoom slider for X and Y axes. You could turn it off for, the X, for the Y. It's whatever you want to do, but I find it helpful that you can, you can zoom into a particular area to showcase, in the scatter plot, what you want to look at. This is just BOE and gross oil production ranking top 10. So my ranking measures that you see. And go back here. I've just brought these in, for the X and the Y axes. And then I've got oil groups. I've got a table. So lease name, BOE by group, it's just rank X, min, max, and then gross oil by group, your min and max as well. But then scroll all the way down here. I created a table. So oil production groups, find that again. So you got your top 10, 0 to 10, 11 to 50, 51 to 100,000. And that's all that is. That's min and max, and that's just based on uh, oil production. So that's how you use a ranking measure for this. And I'm sure a lot of you have done the same thing, uh, in your reports. The next feature that I wanted to bring up was this field parameters. And that, you can find that new parameter fields. That's what I selected. So with that, you can change different y-axes. I have it by month, but the user can come in here and see, different values, different insights, average gross production, total net oil production, gross oil production. You can have whatever you want. So that when you do a field parameter, it'll come up and create a whole new table for you. And you just, there's a grouping. So you want the parameter order. So you have your parameter order here. And you just select. It's just really you're dragging and dropping what you want in your field parameters. And here's what I wanted to show in this area. So, and then you bring in your measures, daily oil production, BOE. Scroll up here and show you. So, here's my oil production measures. So you just drag and drop and you bring in and you categorize them sequentially, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, in the order that you want to see in your field parameters here that you want to select. So you're grouping, you're just saying, hey, the parameter order, if it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, you go through that and you give it a title y-axis, and that's how that name comes up. So you don't want to select all. So again, you can see you just want grouping and you want your parameter. And that's how this is showed. So as far as this table, when this is joined with this chart, you just want to bring in your parameter for your y-axis, which is this. So this parameter, if you remember with how it's indexed, so whatever you select is going to change this y-axis by the parameter 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it'll change. If you've never used this, I highly recommend using this feature. This has come in handy quite a few times. And it saves space. I mean, instead of making 6 different graphs, you can have several right here, right at your fingertips, and the end user can just pick and choose whatever he or she wants. So there's field parameters, and then last, like I said, if you have never used and turn this on, bookmarks and selection. Um, that's all this is. So you go here, You put in your icons. I've got a gray one here. So when I open this up, this gets grayed out. This turns blue. And you just have different, so there it is, closed. Oil Insights open. And there's my reset, which I've got to look at the reset oil page. I don't know what happened. Uh, Action probably did not. When you, that's one thing when you do bookmarks in a selection and you're going back and forth, whatever you change, remember to hit update. And I bet that's what I forgot to do with the reset. So, and when you do a reset, you want to make sure that everything is cleared and you select, you don't want that on. So that is on. Let me see. So that's why I did not select any of this. So when I reset, I don't want this showing up. I want it closed. And then my button here is so I want this off, this off, this one off, and then I've got one more that's on that one. So everything's off. That's what I want. But I want Oil Insights. I want that to show. And then you want to update. So if I did that right, I select month, March, and I want to clear. I gotta hold that down. Still, what did I not do? Let's see. This is a great learning lesson here. Hey there, I figured out what had happened. And that way, not wasting time having you guys watch me fumble through that. But what I did not do, I forgot, was that on my reset button for the oil page, my bookmark was select to none. And that's why it wasn't working. So you remember to put your bookmarks, select them appropriately. And that's what I needed to do. So anyway, that was great. A display of, you know, learning from mistakes, or we all forget something, but I hope, you know, you just saw the honesty there. Um, but anyway, I appreciate y'all's time. Thank you for joining. Thank you for your comments. If you have any further questions, please let me know. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd be more than happy to connect with you. Always thrilled when someone wants to strike up a conversation about Power BI or DAX coding or anything in general. So, again, thank you for your time. I hope you found this summit video insightful and you took away some ideas from it. Until then, or next time, uh, appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Bye bye.